There are still many unanswered questions and mysteries around lucid dreaming, and as we continue to learn and grow and explore this topic, there's still one question that plagues many an aspiring aeronaut, and that is, which induction technique yields the best results? DILD or wild? It's a topic that many lucid dreamers feel quite passionately about, sometimes almost obsessively so, and people will defend quite vehemently their preferred technique, and many will claim that one technique is better than another. But as someone who has been practicing lucid dreaming for a decent chunk of time now and has experience in both DILD and wild, I thought I would just put together a video explaining or talking about my own personal subjective experience of both, how they differ, how they are the same, and which I prefer after all of these years. So very quickly, DILD stands for Dream Initiated Lucid Dreaming and wild stands for Wake Initiated Lucid Dreaming. And even though there are many different methods, you've probably heard terms such as mild, which is mnemonic initiated lucid dreaming, DILD, which is dream exit initiated lucid dreaming, filed, finger initiated lucid dreaming, riled, which I think is rhythm initiated lucid dreaming, and siled, which is sensory something initiated lucid dreaming. Although there are all these different sort of methods, ultimately there is only two ways of actually entering a lucid dream, which is, DILD or wild. All those other methods that I just named are ways of helping you achieve lucidity through either DILD or wild. I hope that makes sense. But ultimately you can either enter a lucid dream from a waking state, or you can enter a lucid dream from within the dream state already. Now, a lot of the time beginners start with DILD. It is seen as being sort of beginner friendly, whereas wild is often cited as being a more advanced way of entering lucid dreams. But really, you could start with wild if you wanted to. For some people, they just are naturally good at wild, or they take to it a lot easier than with DILD. But more often than not, when you're talking to people who are just starting out with lucid dreaming, DILD is usually the one that they go with, that they might have sort of the quickest results with. Now, I'm going to be talking about the ways in which the entry into the dream differs between these two techniques, because ultimately I feel like that is the biggest difference between the two of them, how the actual getting lucid and what that experience is like. So one of the things that I really enjoy about dream initiated lucid dreaming is that initial spark of awareness when you're walking around in the dream, completely oblivious to the fact that it is a dream, and then you just notice something and you just click and you know that it's a dream. And even after almost 10 years of doing this, that is still a very sort of magical moment, really. It never gets old, does that feeling of just suddenly realising that everything is a dream. And a lot of the time with that realization comes a feeling of freedom, particularly if you're having sort of an anxiety dream or a nightmare or just quite a stressful dream. Having that realization that it's all a dream and that you are safe in this space and you can change the scenario or work with the scenario is an amazing feeling. Now, often with that awareness comes a boost in how vivid the dream is. Not always, it can stay the same. Sometimes the level of vividness can decrease, but generally speaking, I find that there's just this sudden feeling of everything being turned up to 11, like in terms of like the visuals, just everything around just becomes so much more kind of lifelike, and it's an amazing feeling. Now, with wake initiated lucid dreaming, it's something that I don't have as much experience with. I do find that I'm less inclined to focus on wild because just in general, I don't like to disrupt my sleep. If my sleep gets disrupted, my mental health can kind of deteriorate very, very quick. So I just generally like to avoid messing around too much. with my sleep cycles there. But when I do successfully enter a dream from a waking state, again, it's a very different sensation and feeling to becoming lucid from within a dream. And again, it's a very sort of quite powerful experience, just from going from laying in your bed to sort of losing all conscious awareness of your physical body and the physical world, just watching and hearing and feeling this world come to life behind your eyelids. And there's that initial period of not knowing if you are fully in the dream yet and being too scared to move in case you accidentally move your physical body. But yeah, I find that, you know, the dream kind of forms reasonably fast, but it is sort of an amazing kind of feeling, that transition from being in your bed to being in a dream, I guess. Now, in terms of the level of awareness, again, this really depends. I've had wake-induced lucid dreams that, you know, the level of awareness and how vivid the dream is very intense and very lifelike and very real. You know, my awareness is quite heightened. And a lot of people do sort of say with wake-initiated lucid dreaming that your awareness is better than in a dream-initiated lucid dream. And I don't necessarily find this. I think sometimes it is the case. It kind of depends on how aware I was before I entered the dream, I guess. But again, it's, you know, I've had wake-induced lucid dreams where my level of awareness has been appalling, and very quickly the dream either ends or just fades into a non-lucid dream. And I guess the same with DILD as well. Really, the level of awareness for me personally is the same in both wake-initiated and dream-initiated. It can be piss poor or it can be fantastic. Really, I guess that just depends on several factors, really. It doesn't really matter how I got lucid. There's various things that can be affecting my level of awareness. And the same goes for dream control. I haven't found there to be a massive difference between what I can do in a dream-initiated lucid dream and a wake-initiated lucid dream. I feel like control kind of does tie into awareness. So really, you know, the more awareness that I have, the more control I'm likely able to exert over the dream, but not always. That's, you know, again, it's not always the case. I do find it quite strange how people can be very passionate and very vocal about how they lucid dream and be quite judgmental towards others on how they do it. I mean, ultimately, everyone works differently, and people are going to find that some techniques work brilliantly, other people just aren't going to find that. It's not going to be the same. And as I said, even in terms of the actual experience, there isn't necessarily a great deal of difference between wake-initiated and dream-initiated. I've said these words so many times now. So yeah, for me personally, there's just not much difference, and I think you just have to find what feels right for you, what works right for you. As I said, wake-initiated lucid dreaming, messing around with sleep cycles just doesn't work for me. When I do have a successful wild, it's usually by accident. It's usually I've just woken up and I've just kind of nodded off back to sleep, and I'm kind of in and out of sleep, and whilst I'm in that sort of phase, I'm likely to slip into a dream, into a lucid dream. And with DILD, you know, I've been doing it for quite a long time now, and I know what things are going to work for me and what things aren't. I know sort of how much work I need to put in if I want to successfully have lucid dreams on a regular basis. You know, it's kind of one of those things that you just have to find, and that can be very frustrating and very annoying at times, and sometimes it's going to take longer than you hoped for. But as someone who does tend to give up rather easily with things, you know, I have stuck with it and I've managed to find those things. So yeah, that's just kind of my experience with DILD and Wild, really, and I'm more comfortable with DILD. it has the best results for me personally, but ultimately, you do what you do. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you would like to support me on Patreon, you can. For just as little as $2 a month, you can get your name featured in a piece of artwork, such as these. You can also support me in other ways, such as buying some of my designs on Redbubble, or just following me on my social media accounts. All of that is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I have been Max, aka the Rara Rabbit, and I'll see you in the next video.